All right, guys, we're live. We are live. It's your boy CMB checking in. And look here, uh, to be honest with you guys, I wasn't planning on doing any lives, doing any videos for the next couple of days. I was going to take a few days off from this, but a couple of things that I saw yesterday, I just had to come on here and speak on it because it's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. And the first one, of course, I'm talking about Canelo Alvarez and his thoughts on his thoughts on the Terrence Bud Crawford fight. And the second one is Glorilla's sister. They're calling her Brorilla. So I don't really listen to Glorilla's music, but it was something that I saw that it triggered me. But first, I want to start out with Canelo Alvarez and his interview that he did. I think it was with the Ring. Now, let me start off by saying this. Well, some of you guys may know I've been giving Canelo Alvarez props because after the fight with Crawford, after he lost that fight, he really didn't make any excuses, after the fight. And I talked about how much I respected that, he didn't, like I said, he didn't make any excuses. Now, there were a lot of fans making excuses for him, but that's different. That's to me, that's different. You're always going to have the fan base making excuses when their favorite fighter loses a fight. That just comes with the territory. But Canelo Alvarez seemed to take it like a man. He took his whooping like a man, kind of like Tio did in the fight with Shakur Stevenson. He took his loss like a man. Took his ball and went home. Now he does this interview with the Ring, and it sounds like now he's kind of changing his tune up a little bit. So I want to play a couple of clips here from that interview he did. Uh, let's see here. Let me find one here. Okay, here's the first. Here's the excuse right here. I want to play the excuse part first, and then there's another part I want to play. So I hope you guys can hear this.
Doesn't respond. I have cramps in my leg. My body doesn't respond. I have cramps in my legs, so doesn't respond the way I really want. But you know, it is what it is. We learn from that and we move forward. And I know what mistakes I made in the fight and in the camp too. But that's what it's boxing about. I think a winner doesn't mean you need to win every time. No, you need to learn from everything, from the losses, take the losses, and
Okay, so you guys heard that. If you didn't, he talked about in the fight that he had cramps in his legs. Now, look, I'm not saying that he didn't. It's possible that he did, but why come out and say that now? You know, we've heard this same excuse before. I think I heard Manny Pacquiao say something about having cramps in his legs in his fight with Jordanis Ugas. I think he said that. I think he said the same thing. I remember Manny Pacquiao making an excuse in the fight with Floyd with something with his shoulder. So yeah, it kind of rubs me the wrong way because I put myself out there for him. I said that he didn't make any excuses, and here he is now making excuses for why he did poorly in the fight instead of just saying, "Hey, Crawford was the better man that night," and that's what it was. Crawford had the better game plan going into the fight. Crawford had the better footwork, and he just fought better overall. It always has to be some Achilles heel there why they did so poorly in the fight. It's I can't respect that. I respect Canelo as a fighter, but I can't respect the excuses being made. Now it was another thing he said here. Let me find it here. Uh, Something he said about Crawford and wanting to run it back. I want you guys to listen to this.
I always give all his credit, no, but we need to run it back. That's why my tough. When after the fight, I say we need to run it back this fight because I don't feel the way I really want, uh, and I need to make this fight happen again, no, and it's gonna be different. I think for him to deserve all the credit he he need to give me the rematch, obviously. But I will. He decided to retire, and we need to accept that and move forward.
Okay, let's get into this in a second here. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Coach, can I have
I
a
always
good
give
advice?
all his credit. No,
Let's stop that there for a second there, guys. It says, Coach, can I have a good advice from depression? You know, I think the best thing for depression is physical activity. Getting into the gym. If you don't have a gym membership, maybe working out, doing some calisthenics at home, that tends to help. When I was in a funk, that's what I leaned on. I leaned on my physical fitness, becoming a better version of myself. I think that is something that can help with depression. Cleaning up your diet, eating more healthy foods, more whole foods, plant foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, staying away from, I would say, processed food like chips, uh, cakes, and things like that. Staying away from the sugar. Eat fresh foods, get a lot of fresh air, and work on your body. I think that right there, can help with depression, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. But anyway, let's get back to it. So Canelo Alvarez, in that clip, he said that for Crawford to get his full credit, he needs to run it back with him. And look, we all know Crawford's retired. And I do get it, Canelo Alvarez can't live that down, losing to a guy who's a quote unquote welterweight. Of course, he's going to want to get his get back. But I think, saying that for Crawford to get his full credit, Crawford should have already got his credit for beating you in the first match. Why does he have to fight you a second time to get full credit? I just don't get that. The run back would be for your benefit, in my opinion, for you to save face. If you were able to go back into a rematch with Crawford and defeat Crawford, yeah, that would be good for you. I don't think it really says anything about Crawford, not taking the fight, opting to retire, and saying that he doesn't get his full credit. I just, I don't understand that logic. But I know a lot of fans are probably going to roll with that logic. Like I said, here on this channel, I don't try to do the fanboy stuff. I try to keep it fair. I try to keep it right down the middle. I tell you guys who I think is really going to win the fight, even if I'm not rooting for the guy. If if I'm not rooting for the guy, say I'm rooting for the guy, and I don't think he's going to win, I'm going to be honest with my prediction. And if a guy loses that I want to win, I'm not going to make any excuses for it. I'm just going to tell you guys the real. Honesty is the best policy, in my opinion, on this channel and in general. Let's see what else. Excuse me, guys, because my eyesight is terrible. Oh, no problem, man. You're welcome. No problem at all. No, anything to help people, man. I think that's what the world's missing a lot of times is people just helping people, man. Everyone's so caught up in, just negativity. And that's one thing I would say I learned when I went to Thailand. I've been to Thailand a couple of times, and it just seems like people, you know, they're more genuine with each other there. Outside, I would say outside of the touristy areas, people actually talk to one another. People, they actually have a rapport with one another. I notice that here in the West, a lot of times we tend to stay to ourselves. We tend to be defensive about everything, and it's a breath of fresh air just to help people, man. That's what people are supposed to do. People are supposed to help other people, man. We got it all twisted here. Everyone's divided and everyone's at each other's throats. And you guys see it here online all the time. It's the same old thing, back and forth with everyone, man. Everybody in their biases, and I don't think God meant for it to be this way with us. But I don't know. Maybe one day we'll change. people just have to make an effort, in my opinion, to do good for others. But we'll see. Hey, what's going on there? All right, guys. So let's get into this other topic here I want to talk about real quick. And this one's a little bit more lighthearted in a sense, I would say. But I think it's a valuable lesson to be learning this as well. I'm gonna play this clip, and some of you guys may not know who Glorilla is. She's a female hip hop artist, and I ran across this. I think I was watching Nino Brown's YouTube channel, and he brought this up. This is her sister. Now her sister's not famous, I guess, and it sounds like she's complaining about her famous sister not giving her anything. So let me play this clip for you guys. I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on one second. Let's find it here. All right, here we go. So damn old, goddamn right or wrong. She ain't obligated. Fuck out of here. She obligated for sure, for shit show. That shit going. Fuck. And I ain't gonna get touched. And I ain't gonna get touched. I'm still in the trenches. And I ain't gonna get touched. On no date. She like at least two inside. I ain't gonna get two ain't get shit. Whatever hoe saying that, man, fuck that hoe too. And her kids. Wow. Okay. All right, so that's enough of that. You guys get the gist. She's complaining that her famous sister is not giving her, I would guess, financial support. I saw some more videos on this, and I just want to talk about this for a minute because this not only happens in celebrity circles. This happens in everyday life with regular people. You'll have someone in the family who makes it somewhat. I would say they become very successful, and a lot of times when they're on that path, their family, their friends, their immediate people in their circle, they don't really support them on their way to that. But once they get to there, and say they get this money and they get this newfound fame, people tend to think that they are obligated to have your stuff, that your money. Case in point, let me see if I can find this. I think Clarissa Shields was talking about this at one time too, with her family. Let me see if I can find it so I can play it for you guys. I might be able to find it here. If not, forgive me, guys, if I can't find it. Let me see. I think she was doing an interview. Of course, it's not here. Let's see. Hold on. I think this may be it. Hold on. Let me see.
I overlooked how much my sister, started disliking me. I don't want to get emotional, but me and my sister got the same mama and same daddy, and we grew up together and worked so hard to make all this money and to have a good life for yourself. And then the people who you want to share it with, they just change on you. And it's hurtful because people say it's lonely at the top, but damn, this lonely, you know what I'm saying? People shouldn't feel like because I work my butt off that they deserve my money and they deserve my time and they deserve to tell them who I can and can't hang around and they can be so entitled. Family shouldn't be like that. Now all of a sudden, I'm the bad person, but I wasn't a bad person when I was doing backwards for you. I didn't have no boundaries. You can talk to me how you want to talk to me. You can trigger me. You can make me cry. You can mess up fights. You can do all this stuff. Soon I tell you, notice something. I can buy you a car, put you in a house, pay all your bills.
It ain't enough.
People don't want what you give them. They want what you have. So I overlooked how much
Wow.
my sister, started this like.
That was extremely powerful what she said in that last line there. She said, people don't want what you give them, they want what you have. And that's the whole thing I took from Glorilla's sister going off on her, telling all her family business to the public. They don't, they want what you got. When she was poor, they probably weren't checking for her like that. But now that she does have money, they expect her to give it. It's like it's obligated. She's obligated to do it, but really she's not. So I just, this always irks me about people. They think they're entitled to your stuff. Now, if you want to give it to them, of course, that's fine to give people things out of the kindness of your heart. But people expecting you to do that, then shunning you when you don't do it, that's another thing altogether. And I think a lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people go through that. But I also think a lot of people in regular circles who actually accomplish something in their lives, they actually go through that too. Jealousy, envy, and just, resentment. So that's, what I got from her sister. They're calling her Glorilla. I don't know what her name is, but it's sad, man, that we go through things like this. And I don't know if it's stuff like this is ever going to stop. I guess jealousy and envy is here to stay. But here's my thing. Everyone, we all have our own lives, and we should all be trying to make ourselves better every day. You should try to improve yourself on a daily. And I know it's hard because there's so much negative things that go on every day in and out, but you should always be working on making yourself better. And once your cup fills up, once you fill up your cup, then that's when you help others. But it's on you. People shouldn't expect you to do for them, for the same thing that you could do for yourself. I'm sure she's capable of doing things for herself. She doesn't need her sister to kick her down money. That's not what she's there for. So, but I just wanted to get that across. Maybe spark some minds out there. What are you guys talking about here? Hey, what's going on? But anyway, guys, I just wanted to do some rants there. Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in Canelo, man, making that statement, making both of those statements, the cramps, and saying that Crawford's not going to get his full credit because he didn't run it back with him because he decided to retire. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Also, let me know what you think about Glorilla's sister. Am I right? Do you think that, she shouldn't feel entitled to her money just because she's her sister, and she shouldn't be putting her business like that out in the street? You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. It's the CMB. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.